Sadie 9.
BBC Essex.
A further 23 people have been arrested after protests blocked the M25 this morning. Well, this time it was in Surrey. Insulate Britain stopped traffic between junctions 9 and 10 by sitting across all 4 lanes of the motorway. This time they're right on the motorway. Yesterday, the campaign group wrote an open letter to the Home Secretary and Witham MP Priti Patel, profoundly apologising for the disruption they have caused. Well, joining me now is Shane Collins, a Green District Councillor from Somerset and a member of Insulate Britain. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to us, Shane. In your letter to the Home Secretary, you're asking the government to release a meaningful statement. What do you want to hear from them, Shane?
Good morning. Good afternoon. Many thanks for having me on. We want them to insulate all social housing by 2025 and all other housing by 2030. We think this is so important at the moment. It's going to take millions of people out of fuel poverty. We've got to remember 8,500 people died last year in Britain because of cold or damp housing. So we want to get rid of fuel poverty. We want to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs, proper, well-paying jobs. And also, it's the easiest way to get down emissions. Now, we don't want to be here. We don't want to be on the road, but we are petrified of what is coming down the line with the climate emergency. And we've really run out of other options. And, we've written to Priti Patel as the Home Office Minister responsible for law and order, just to point out that if things carry on as they are, the economy is going to be destroyed because if the environment is up the creek, the economy is up the creek. So we really want the government to start negotiating, agree to insulate all housing by the end of the century. By 2025. We've got to do it due to our
you're giving them 3.5 years to insulate every property in the country. Is that plausible?
Not every property in the country, starting off with all social housing and council housing where it's needed most. And
if they started that,
crumbs. Sorry, go ahead.
If they started that, if they said, okay, however much it costs, because we're borrowing, last year we borrowed more than we've ever borrowed before, ever. So they're going to start with council houses. Are you giving them an end date, or are you saying if you start by 2025? What are you actually saying?
This is an emergency. We would like it done by 2025. As we discovered... Done
by 2020. Every house done? Or you're saying just the council houses done, or every house that needs insulating, which is, I should imagine, 80%, I should imagine, 20% new builds, hopefully they're being insulated properly. But in 3.5 years, you want them all to be done?
No, all council and social housing by 2025, which is a massive
So 3.5 years, massive ask, and a massive cost. Who's going to pay for all this?
The government will. We need
to
get fuel
down.
We
will, the
fuel
people
bills
will.
Down. We have discovered that with COVID, we can change the economy around extremely quickly. The climate is an even greater emergency than COVID, so we know we can do it. We just need the leadership and the political will, and we need Johnson to get on with the job. We know under our Paris climate agreements we've got to do it. We're not meeting the milestones.
Why are you sitting on motorways and causing people to be just sitting in their cars you keep your car going or whatever? Why motorways? And why Essex? Why not where you live? Sorry, why not down in Devon somewhere? Why not?
I would imagine people have the sense to turn off their engines if they're stuck. Why are we doing it on the M25? We're doing it on a motorway because we have run out of all other alternatives. We've been standing in elections for years, petitions for years. We have people outside the House of Commons and Downing Street. Unfortunately, it does take peaceful, direct action to get things going. And, if you ask any woman in this country, any Indian person in this country, in India, any African Americans, they will tell you, if they know their history, that peaceful, direct action works. It puts pressure on the government and it changes opinion.
Why did you choose the roads? Why not choose like building estates if you're talking about buildings? Because to be honest, when it first came up, I didn't know what it was about because sort of thought I can understand when it's like we want to stop roads, we want to stop motorists, we want to have cleaner roads, we hate it. Then people demonstrating on roads, but why on roads? The problem is, I think, and I mean, you know, Shane, all of us want to sort out the climate. I don't think there can be anyone at the moment who thinks, tough, let it happen. We all want to look after that. But callers to the BBC are losing patience with the protests because of the disruption and the further pollution that the actions of Insulate Britain are causing. I mean, so is blocking the roads the right course of action for your message?
Let me just come in there. You say that all of us want to solve climate change. Okay.
Most of us. You get some idiots who don't care. But...
We have to look at what the government is doing now.
Sorry, your line's gone a bit bad. Could you go back to wherever you were? Sorry, we couldn't hear that bit actually, Shane. Your line disappeared there. I think we can hear you now. So sorry. Yeah, that's better. What were you saying? Sorry.
I was saying that I'd have to question your assumption that everybody wants to solve climate change. We have to look at where the government is actually going at the moment. We've got a huge road building programme. Every airport virtually in the country wants to expand. We've even got applications for new oil fields, new coal fields, and HS2. The government is going precisely the wrong direction. To keep our Paris commitments, we have to hit the milestones which the government are missing. So, you know, I would say whilst the government says nice words about climate change, if you drill down to their actions, we are going in the opposite direction. So this is to put them on the spot.
But why? You haven't answered, though, as to why the motorways. I mean, why not Parliament Square and stop the people getting to work who you say aren't doing a good job? Because you're actually stopping people getting to work, getting to hospitals, getting to take their children to school. You're stopping those people. You're stopping everyday people. Why not stop the people that you want to stop?
If you just cast your mind back to a year ago and then 6 months before that, a group called Extinction Rebellion were around Parliament for 2 weeks on one occasion, 2 weeks on another. You know, we have tried that, and unfortunately, we have to cause minor disruption to stop a major catastrophe. And I'm really sorry for people who are caught in the situation. But look, let's just reflect. At the moment, there are millions of people in Europe, in North America, in Australia, in Asia, who are either flooded out or burnt out. They are facing major catastrophes to their lives. This is coming down the line if we don't take the climate emergency seriously, and insulating housing is a simple way to start. It gets people out of trouble.
But I come back to that 3 years and what, 4 months, 3 years and 3 months to actually insulate every council house in the country. You know, are you aiming far too high? Isn't it better to make sure that every new build is insulated properly, and then let people, generally councils, start insulating all the council houses? But can we afford it at the moment? And 3.5 years?
We can't afford not to. It's the first thing. You may think that.
Well, we can't afford to do it. We can't afford it as a country.
Of course we can. You must understand the government is not like a household. The government has the Bank of England to print money as required, unlike a household.
So borrow more. Borrow more.
Quantitative. No, it's not a question of borrowing more, it's printing more. You know, the government has got the Bank of England
devalue the pound
to put trillions out. The pound hasn't devalued in the last 10 years since quantitative easing. You know, you mustn't think of the government
because we're borrowing money and not
printing
pounds. It wouldn't be worth anything. We have to leave it there, unfortunately. But it's such an interesting conversation. Can I finally ask, can the Essex road users expect more travel chaos if you don't get an answer that you want from the Home Secretary?
I'm afraid I can't guarantee whether it's Essex or not, but we have a lot of very committed people who are, on one hand, terrified of what's coming down the line, and on the other hand, frustrated at the government and not getting on with the job. So that's what we want.
How would you feel? How would your movement feel if, I mean, you were actually on the M25 today around Surrey, not just on the slip roads, but you walked on the motorway. How would you feel if somebody died while doing this protest?
I would feel terrible. I would feel terrible, but I also
then
feel
you
terrible
shouldn't be
about
putting your protesters up for that. That is irresponsible. Surely you're risking their lives.
I also feel terrible about the 8,500 people who are dying because of cold or damp homes.
I don't know if that's.
I
don't know if that's an excuse to put up. I don't know if that's an excuse to put up a chance that somebody could die in this country because they're on a protest march. But we have to leave it there for time. I do appreciate you speaking to us. I really do. Councillor Shane Collins, much appreciate you speaking to him. As a Green District Councillor from Somerset and a member of Insulate Britain, I'd really like to know what you think about this, Essex. 0800 111 40 41. Shane's right in a way, and that lots of people demonstrate in different ways and don't even get a mention. We're talking about it. But is it ever right to risk the lives of the people who are protesting to get the message across? 0800 111 40 41. Right, talking about